This is Sienna Lea, inceptor of Rise Multiversity and the creator of Shadow Synthesis, which is a course that I've been doing shadow work for 40 years. I've traveled the world working with people, shadows, all across the globe. And some of you know, Rise Multiversity has had a number of mentors really at the cutting edge. And what we're doing here is we are drawing together the interference and the entities and the implants and a whole lot more with healing our shadows. And the reason that we need to bring it together is because of the level of manipulation that is upon humanity and has been for quite a while. So I always look at it as a research, and I always look at this community as a research community. And it's important to keep bringing fresh ideas and the real people who have done the real work to be the midwives and husbands of this shift. And I know a lot of you know that the alternative media has gone nuts. There's as much disinfo as real info in this huge can of worms that's really hard to figure out who's genuine, who's fake, what part of this is true, and what part of this is a misdirection of our energy. It's a really challenging time to be offering a path out of the kind of soul imprisonment that the people that come to me are finding themselves within. So I am very excited to bring you Lee Mistycah. Welcome, Laura
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
In our undisclosed place.
Yes, we are in an undisclosed location. I left Ecuador to do a project that did not happen. Well, I thought that's why I left Ecuador. But I realize now why I left Ecuador was to spend some time with this remarkable, brave warrior who has been behind the scenes by design for a very long time doing the real work. And I know there are others out there doing the real work too. And this is not about who's better or who's worse. This is about bringing you pieces that I think we really need right now deeply, because more and more people are really wanting to break free, find their sovereignty, embody their souls, stop coming out of post-traumatic stress and live a life that has purpose, their soul's purpose, and find out what their real value is and make their real contribution and free themselves from the money vice and all the other things that we're trapped down under. So the Rise Multiversity is a community of people, and we do these things together. We support each other, because one of the biggest pieces is how isolated we are, getting bombarded in our aloneness. It's so hard to rise above the level of targeting, of attack, and of the relooping of the pain of the gigantic wounding that humanity carries right now. It's been a war zone. It's still is in many ways. So from my heart to yours, I offer you Laura Lee as mentor with Rise. She's being in her own right. She's been doing this work for a very long time. And I'm hoping in this introductory discussion, we can shine a light on some of the pieces that I find absolutely remarkable that this woman brings. Now, I want to just say something to you. I want you to breathe And just be aware that you may find yourself not wanting to hear some of this, because I find myself coming here that there are programs, that there's certain levels of this that like I just block out, like, no, that can't be true, or no, that isn't right, or and I'm also finding out that people even in the alternative super woo-woo community have certain people that they have invested a lot of belief. And if you stray from that party line, you know, that immediately the mind turns off. And we are constantly being given new information, new tools, and the real researchers like Laura Lee are constantly getting new keys to unlock humanity from places we didn't even know we were trapped. However, since most of us are trapped behind some of these programs still, when those people that are in control of that part of the trap put us in front of someone who really has the real deal, we suddenly can't think, we suddenly get angry, we suddenly polarize. So I'm just saying, okay, if you can just open your being to this information, I think that you're going to be given some things that you haven't been given before. And it's time. It's time for the real freedom and for the real tools that we so desperately need right now. So let me speak a little bit about you, Laura Lee, before we dive into this. Yeah.
Who is this weird woman?
yeah, about it. Okay, so this is the Laura Lee Mistycah, author, teacher, ghostbuster, and weird you-know-what expert. Laura Lee has been in the holistic healing field for over 4 decades, teaching classes in many different areas. She has developed something called cryogenetics, a cutting-edge healing and trauma release method. She is also the steward of the Knights of Mystic House, and we're going to talk to you about that. Spending much of her time helping fellow indigos shine up their knight's armor by understanding who they are, what their real talents are, and why they came here in the first place. She has helpers, guides, and very deep inside information about the nature of this holographic virtual reality. And one of her helpers has told her that the game of Earth life is horribly rigged in favor of the Dark Lords. And so Laura Lee brings these keys to unscrewing and outwitting the rigged game. And it is a rigged game. And those keys are found in her book, Cryogenetics, The Simple Secrets of Human Alchemy. So Laura Lee's working on a sequel to this book that includes the history of our hologram. So, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Laura Lee.
So where should we start? Where do you want to start with all this weirdness? Where should we start?
Well, most of our audience has removed their chakras or not removed their chakras. Let's start with the to remove your chakra or not to remove your chakra thing. Because we're going to just bust through different key things that are big topics of interest and very polarized. Different people have different perspectives on it. I don't know. Maybe that's not the place to begin. Let's get to the basics. We were speaking the other day about cryogenetics, and I asked you, well, okay, cryogenetic, are you not using the life force, to move the energy and heal things? What is this cryogenetic force? What is the energetic here that you are co-creating with? Would that be even the right word?
Sure, that works. Cryogenetics is the encompassment of light and color, sound and tone, geometry, math, and love and compassion. And I found if you bring them all together and utilize all of them, then extreme healing and progression happens. And a lot of you understand about how important tone is and light, and when you bring them all together, this energetics really does bump you up to the next level and turn things on that have been turned off for a long, long time. And my book goes into detail about it. There's a lot more deep levels of cryogenetics, and cryogenetics has what we call the cryogenetics egg. And gosh, do we have a picture of that egg? We'll have to put it on.
We'll put a picture
We'll put a picture on. The egg.
But before you go into
Yes.
the egg,
Okay.
Laura Lee,
Okay.
can I interject
You
something
betcha.
here? And that is, when you spoke to me earlier, you said that this energy is the uncorrupted energy outside of the artificial construct, the matrix, the hologram, call it what you will. That everything in here has been horribly corrupted. And so it's something coming in from the outside to help and to assist us to clear the distortion and to activate the divine blueprint so we can move on. So there's a purity involved. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And when you said purity, that is true. And since everything did get so corrupted here, only something from outside this hologram that was uncorrupted coming in could help fix it. I mean, you have to have something that's not a part of the system that's
Right.
already here.
Right. Okay. So right there, are you freaking out yet? Because
Are you freaking
something
yet?
outside the hologram. We're not going to go way down that. And I'm going to tell you that we're going to do a series of events, courses, classes, nights, trainings. We're going to dive deep into this. And I hope you understand we can only give you the tip of the iceberg on a public broadcast for various reasons. So, but I wanted to cover the key points that turn the light on going, whoa, what is what is this we're talking about? And I thought the piece outside the hologram was a good lead-in to the eggs.
Very good, because that's where it came from. And it's the egg. The egg is not, well, let's see. Actually, our hologram is a giant egg. It's a huge egg that was infiltrated a long time ago by, I guess we can go into the D monster now, because that's where it all started.
I've been into the dark feminine for a long time. Well, she's got the dark feminine 10.2 for you here right now.
Well, there was a huge war on the outside, and this hologram was originally designed to be a place that we could go for rest and relaxation and recuperation from all of the horrendous pressures that were on us from the outside. And when word got around what was happening, and it got infiltrated, and there was a huge it was like a battle that was triggered here, triggered there, triggered there. Everything was happening at once. People were getting blown apart with the scatter weapon, and a lot of their pieces came inside the hologram during that time. And this made it key people that were researchers and the creators of this hologram. Part of their pieces got blown into this hologram, and then we call her the D monster. Her name outside was Durerla. And she did this so that she could sneak in and corrupt the whole of the hologram, and we would not turn it off. It
Okay.
guaranteed her.
So,
Okay.
Queen Bitch, which I have done a number of interviews on, and in my book Stealing the Moon, we go into the dark feminine deeply because I've had to deal with that, and most of my students are wrestling with this dark feminine part of themselves that they feel great shame and guilt and disempowerment, and it's a really virulent energy. So it's kind of shocking to think at the top of the power mad pyramid is a feminine. But so that's one thing. I just ask you to take a deep breath on that one. We can't give you all of the answers, but there's been this huge corruption, a huge distortion, and she was leading the charge, right? And I don't know if you want to go into what happened with CERN, but maybe not in this interview.
Maybe not on this one.
Okay.
It's a huge story. It's very elaborate. It took a long time to get the coordinates right. Now, on the outside of the hologram, we were able to take her out. Her physical body does not exist on the outside anymore, but she was able to put her essence inside the hologram, complete with the body and whatever, and then she could just come in here and raise Cain, raise all sorts of hell,
And
which
so
is what she did.
are dissecting in a very specific stealth investigation, which we're not going to go into right now in depth, of the many overlays that are impacting everybody's shadow, or empowering, or amplifying, or harvesting. So it's new information from what I've understood. Other people are certainly pulling in parts of this, but it's really important to understand because from my work with my students, a lot of these patterns are surfacing through the techniques and the community support and the tools we have and the commitment and the dedication, but actually extracting ourselves from the complicity with the evil that has been perpetuated, to no longer perpetuate, to no longer be a part of the problem. This means we have to look further than we have, in my opinion, and that's why I'm really excited to be here with you, because from my experience working with you now, I've been here for a while, living with you and healing with you. I'm finding very credible processes and information that I haven't experienced anywhere before. And that's why we're here today. I'm here with Laura Lee, bringing her to you after kind of a long hiatus where we had super AI challenges getting her on at all. So did you want to... Okay, so... You know, I really corroborate that this shattering and the weapons that shatter are so showing up in people as they do the shadow work and retrieving soul fragments. I mean, this is a part of shamanism, soul retrieval, and bringing the pieces together. And this is one of the biggest tools, or I don't know the biggest. This was a big. There's so many. But
Right.
This was a big, super big tool, this shattering and scattering of us and of her. And can you help us understand that anymore?
Yeah. Well, she was very cunning and diabolical, and her methodologies were exquisite in evil. I mean, that's, I guess, the best way to say it. And she knew that she was doomed. On some level, she knew that she was doomed on the outside, that we had the means to capture her and take her out. So she created this vacation spot for her where she could come into this hologram and into this earth. Planet Earth is where she came first to set up housekeeping. This was her domain, and she began immediately to start corrupting and perverting everything she could get her hands on. And we see that all over in nature and in just everywhere, that there's really good parts, and then there's parts that are just not right. They're just corrupted. And that's her handiwork. Well, she knew that if she got enough pieces of all of the beings that were on the outside that were creating, and there might be some of you people listening to this that were from there and are here as a part of the hologram rescue team to fix this. And she tried to get the people that were the most valuable to scatter them and put them in here so that we wouldn't turn off the hologram. We could just go clip, unplug, and turn it off. But she wanted to make sure that that didn't happen, and this certainly assured her domain here. And so that's kind of where it all started. It's exponentially gotten worse and worse and worse, because during the experiments at Montauk, she was able to go back and rewrite history, the history that was all nice and wonderful and relaxing. She went back and totally corrupted that into wars and blood sacrifices and anything nasty that you want to think about. She went into our history and made it her way. And she's like the Queen of Loosh. That's her gig, is to make everything nasty and foul and painful and suffering. She was so corrupted that makes her, or made her high. I'm hearing high and mighty.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. There will be a real detailed account of that maybe in future classes, but definitely in cryogenetics too. But that just tells you kind of why we're here, either here as part of the rescue team or part of the hologram cosmic cleanup crew. And those are people that have the courage and the ability to come here and set things straight again. And it's not a job for the weak and the faint at heart. And many of us went into some of the deepest, darkest places in history to get the intel we needed to bust the corruption system here. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person, I did this and this and this, well, take a second look at that, and maybe you were doing an undercover agent kind of job there. And that,
So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So this is the double agent thing, right?
Yes.
And this has been really helpful for some of my students and for myself, because if you read my book, Stealing the Moon, you'll know I was a very bad girl for multiple lifetimes. And when you are that way and you're violating your own heart, no matter how traumatized you were or whatever, the greatest block towards your own healing is your own incredible shame and guilt and feelings of lowliness. And so I think what you're saying here, Laura Lee, is that, Dolores Cannon talked about volunteers. She did bazillion regression hypnosis sessions and so many people were volunteers. You're calling them indigos, that are coming in for the restoration and the repair and the regeneration of this world. And so these, one of the ways that we really can start liberating ourselves from punishment and sacrifice and loss and the endless looping in self masochism or permissioning sadism, the huge patterns, mainly the dominant patterns through religion and on this planet that we all instinctively sense we're carrying some sort of darkness that we need to purge ourselves. And the way we usually do this is by incessantly beating on ourselves and sabotaging all of our efforts. I mean, this is a huge thread of the shadow work. Shadow synthesis is unwinding the inner saboteur. And so understanding if it's, and again, we're offering things as a research for you to explore, for you to see if there's any truth in this. Okay, the people that I've experienced so far getting this concept, like, whoa, I did come in and I took on some really bad stuff in order to expose it, in order to, like you say, gather the data, in order to bust it up. And it wasn't just that I'm pure evil and I'm a horrible, horrible person. Now, there is that part, then we need to purge that and heal that and to transform that. But there's a deeper purpose to some, and I'm not saying everyone is on that.
Right.
Either.
I was just going to say, real evil people don't care. They like it.
Yeah.
They want to stay there. They don't have any intentions to change that.
Right.
They might have intentions to look like they're not evil so that they can mess you over.
Yeah, right.
But evil people, they like it.
Yeah.
It's just the ones that know that it's not okay to torture other life forms.
Yeah. And one of the things I really honor, respect, and love about you is that you're willing to call a spade a spade. I mean, there's so much BS, either we're on the side of love and light, or we're covering things up, and everybody knows that the greatest supposedly humanitarians are running pedophile rings, using their money and resource with the children they're supposedly saving. Everything that says it's black is white, and everything white and black, it's all turned to red. It's just lies and deception. It's all coming out globally now, and yet it's inside us as well. We're all supporting it by not making conscious the part of us that's complicit, actually empowering it. And but it's a hard thing to face, the layers of complicity with this evil that has been perpetuated here. So I'm really grateful to meet a sister that just willing to call a spade a spade. And I just wanted to bring up one thing here around, out there's a lot of people in the alternative community that are telling us that all the bad guys have left, they're all being arrested, there's a huge change and shift, and we can, go fishing because it's pretty much getting handled, and the golden age is going to be upon us, and that these evil forces have been taken out by people such as you've been working behind the scenes. So what do you say to that when you hear that kind of?
I would say we're working on it, but we're not ready to throw the party yet.
So there's
you want to
still
get your
a lot...
party hats and your kazoos, that's fine. But no, we're not there. We are so not there.
So there's still a lot of...
There's still a lot of cleanup to do. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of harvesters eating off the leash of humanity.
Yes.
What are the most prevalent patterns that you see that people are fairly clueless that it's even part of the dark stealth workings of these, what do you call them here? The lords of... The Dark Lords.
The Dark Lords.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your question is, what are some get specific.
Is too...
Let's get down.
All right. So then now let's do it. Okay. Let's get down to our list now. Let's talk about the Kundalini snake. Now, a lot of you are hearing about the reuniting of the divine masculine with the divine feminine, and the Kundalini is a path of enlightenment, and when this gets activated, the sacred union occurs. So is that true, Laura Lee? Is the Kundalini a path to freedom and illumination?
Not from what I've... Not in my experience, and I've experienced quite a bit with the snake, and it's nothing but a huge interference of your free will and your it takes over your life, it takes over your sexuality, takes over your head, and all of these religions and things that say you have to have that in order to be enlightened, it's baloney. It's just a crock of crap. It is not true at all.
So you're saying that the Kundalini snake is a what?
It's an imposter. It is an
First of all, what
imposter.
is the Kundalini snake?
Okay. It's an energy that rises. Well, it can go both ways. It rises from your lower chakra, and it goes up your spine. Okay, so and then it goes up to your head, and then it can always also come down. Now it uses the chakra system. So if you've got the chakra system and the snake, they work very well together. So what it does is the energies that it moves, it totally bypasses the heart. The heart's in the middle. The back that it comes up, it kind of bypasses the heart going up and bypasses it going down. Now, one thing people don't understand is that you can dump your terrors, you can dump your junk on someone during sex. And it comes from here and it goes straight down, and you can give your partner a whole lot more than what you bargained for. And the snake is one of the main perpetrators for being able to do that. I know of stories where people have come back from war-torn areas, and they're just in horrible shape. They have sex, and who gets it? Their spouse. And so they start having nightmares and the same crap that you had. Yes, some of it comes out, but it's not like you transfer it all. You just transfer a bunch of it. There's still some there. So now you've got two traumatized people. So the snake doesn't, it's horrible. It's something the D-monster created. And I wouldn't have a dang thing to do with it. Now the thing is with the snake, if you do one of these protocols to get rid of the snake, if you don't get rid of the eggs that it lays, they'll just hatch and have more of them. So you have to be really detailed in removing this. And the snake, people get scared either way. It's like they're scared to have it, they're scared to get rid of it. The people that I know that have gotten rid of it have gotten a huge relief in stress and trauma. And maybe you can say how you felt.
Yeah, because I did that Kundalini snake removal and the eggs, and I felt this very sinister energy that is a frequency match for all the other layers and templates of sinister energy, that it has its own agenda. And of course it's posing as something very passionate and intense, and it can get your hormones surging, and it's let's face it, sex is one of the most powerful forces for the human being, and therefore of course it's going to be one of the most manipulated. And we know that the porn industry is the biggest industry, money-making industry in the world, and we know some of the best and greatest politicians, businessmen, athletes are all addicted, and this is the energy that's getting harvested, right? And it's the Kundalini. Yep. Because when you're moving through all of those desires, this thing is redirecting it. It may even feel subtle, but all the images from Hollywood and all the porn images are permissioning and normalizing perversion and distortion, and in a culture that is touch deprived, and huge traumas around touch and being accepted as who we are, and authentic. We sexualize our need for love, for touch, right, for the basic core urges that drive us. And so you put this overlay on top of that, and that's a gigantic harvest tool. And it's a very delicate topic because the things that we're most vulnerable to and deeply addicted to, we don't want to look at that. It feels like us. I mean, those impulses feel like our impulses. And then we get riddled with shame and guilt, or we block it out, or we go into denial and act like it's fine.
It's an endless cycle. It's an endless cycle of crazy. It is. And the snake, our original authentic system is a core star that's like right here where our heart is and our gut feelings. It's big. It's like this. And then a head star and a loin star. And when you take your chakras out, you reinstall this original authentic system where the energy goes from your heart to your head, back to your heart, down to your loins, curves around, comes back up to your heart, through your head. So it's like this figure 8. And this ensures that nothing bypasses the heart. You can't have thoughts from your head go to your loins without bypassing the heart, or from your loins up to your head without going through the heart. Right. You cannot bypass the heart. That's the way it goes. Everything is centered in the heart. So all of this corruption energy and the Kundalini snake crap keeps making bigger and bigger and uglier and uglier. And look at our society. It's like we don't even know what authentic love is anymore because it's been so corrupted. Now, one thing that this snake doesn't have is purity, and I can guarantee you that's from outside the hologram, and we do have it in here. It's just little dots and pieces here and there, but that's where we have to get to. And it seems like our interactions with one another are void of that, and we need to get back to that again. Or all these tantra teachers and stuff,